Wait for the answer. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. I'm a business investor. We talk on this show about things that affect business people. So whether you own a business, whether you're the executive in charge of a business, we like to see things from that perspective and kind of talk about the issues that you deal with and what are some shortcuts, what are some tactics, strategies, and principles that you could put into play right away in your business. And this is a situation that has been a long time coming for me, and I've been getting bits and pieces of this all for really the last 12 months, 12 to 18 months, where I've been waiting on a very specific answer about a problem that I've been having in one of my businesses. It's one of my favorite ones, and I wasn't quite sure what to do, and I had a huge piece of that answer came to me today in the form of a book that I was reading, which I would have never guessed out of all the books that are out there that it would be this book that would be helpful to me. And I'll tell you, maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow or in a future episode, what book that is, and give you a little book review. I'm waiting for my hard copy to come because I listened to the audio already, and so I'm really jazzed about it. It's been one of the best books I've read in the last couple years, and actually some of the best books that I've read recently have all been about this same subject matter, and these things have just started coming to me really not through any fault of my own, but I wanted to talk about this. This is a scenario that I hear from a lot of different people, but specifically about business people, that they'll say this in conversation, but it never gets brought up enough in terms of a scenario that we almost all go through. And this is it. We hit a problem. We hit a wall. We hit a plateau. We hit something with our business and with how we're handling it and how we're thinking about it. And when you reach that point, what do? And really, you just have to wave your hands up in the air and say, I don't know. I don't know what the next step is. I don't know how to fix this. I still have ideas on things to try, and we're going to keep trying things, but I'm going to wait for the answer. And there's a lot of different ways that answers come to you. Sometimes it just comes in the middle of the day while you're doing something else. Sometimes it could be while you're working with your hands or something. I've heard that from a lot of people. If they're working, if they've got themselves engaged physically in something, that's when the answers come to them. Other people say it's when they take a shower. When they're taking a shower on a daily basis, the answers just pop into their head. Other people, it's the first thing when they wake up in the morning or in the middle of the night, they get an answer and they have to make sure they write it down so they don't forget it. And sometimes it comes in very specific forms. Sometimes it comes in the form of conversation. You're talking to someone. It could be someone that has nothing to do with business, and this could be a business question you have on your mind, but something they say opens up something in here that gives you the answer of where you need to go next. And then sometimes it can come from something as simple as a book. Every once in a while, and it's usually from one that was recommended to me. It's usually from a book that was recommended. I tend to not read books unless they're recommended from somebody I know or from somebody that I'm at least familiar with, someone I trust of some sort. And so that this was a book that was recommended, and up until this point, I've heard a million people talk about this book. I mean, everyone's jazzed about the book, and because everyone was jazzed about it, I didn't want to read it. I've run away from the majority of what most people do, and because it was so popular, I'm saying, well, it can't be very good if it's that popular. Otherwise, you'd hear more about it. I mean, you just hear people say it's a great book, but I didn't hear much else than that, and I thought it had a stupid title. So I'll tell you about that later, but that's not what I'm talking about today. What I'm talking about is in this book came a big piece of the answer that I was looking for. And it's an answer that I've gotten little pieces about these questions. I've gotten little pieces, like I said, I probably really asked it hard about a year ago, and I just get little bits and pieces. It comes to me. And it comes in a little bit in conversation, but really every once in a while I'll get it from an expert, somebody who has the experience that can talk about it in a way that automatically I know they know what they're talking about, and it fits my scenario. And this situation was that. The magic isn't in the book. The magic isn't what he was talking about, even though it's great stuff. And it's some of the stuff that I'll pass on to a million people because it's that good. But that's not the real magic. And the magic isn't exactly in asking the question, in saying, I don't know, tell me. But that's the beginning of the magic. The magic starts there. You got it. You can't, it doesn't work without that. Until you admit that you don't know, you can't go on the search for the answer. You won't be looking for it. But whatever it is that brings it to you, there's something, and tells you when it's right. Hey, pay attention. That's it. There's something on the inside that tells us when things are right. And you call it intuition, you could call it, Holy Spirit thing, you call it whatever you want. But that's the magic. That's an important thing. You got to start by waiting for the answer. If you wait for the answer will come. I guarantee it will come, unless you die beforehand. You can't do anything about that. And then the answer really wasn't that important anyways, was it? Hopefully. But if you're really willing and you're open, the answer comes to you, and you know it already has. I know this has happened to you because it happens to everybody. It's just we don't talk about it often enough because it seems weird and it seems like coincidence type of thing. It's not coincidence. It's the answer to your question, and it comes in a very directional way. I'm certain of it. We don't need to get into religion or details or anything like that, but I'm certain it's an actual thing. So don't doubt it. Be ready for the answer and wait for it, because it's coming. I have a book, 9 Ways to Amazon Proof Your Business. If you haven't seen this before, I promote it every episode. So 9 Ways to Amazon Proof Your Business. It's all about how to overcome competitive forces regardless of what industry you're in. Go get yourself a copy wherever books are sold, or you can download a free copy. AmazonProofBook.com. That's all I have for tonight. Be patient, wait for the answer. We'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and just let the magic happen.